No gifts this year. By Mr. Zelgopasta. When I woke this morning, I found the house to be empty. It was strange. I seriously doubt my family would leave for my aunt's house without me on Christmas morning. Something wasn't right. All the miraculously placed pictures of me that were on the wall and hearth were gone. All the other photographs were still in place. Another thing that struck me as odd was the fact that there was no gifts that, just last night, were miraculously put under the tree this morning. What the hell? I thought. Everything is gone. Even the shit I left for my parents. Just then, I heard a low, guttural growl that made me practically jump out of my skin. I turned my head to see my dog, baring her teeth in a semi-defense position. She stared at me with a terrified look in her eyes. As she growled, I took a step towards her, and she ran into the other room as fast as she could. She did leave a nice piss stain on the carpet, though. Shit, I muttered under my breath. Something definitely isn't right. I walked through the house. Everything was a mess. Tables and chairs were turned over. Lamps were smashed. It looked as though a tornado had gone through the place. I feel like shit. I guess a good analogy would be I felt as though the house looked. It felt as if a concrete truck had just punched me in the gut. I went upstairs to go to the bathroom and wash myself. The smell of cigarette smoke and cheap booze filled the air. I wondered what was going on. In the bathroom, I looked in the mirror, and I must say, I looked like a picture of living death. I was white as frickin' sour cream. My pupils dilated this size that I never knew was natural. It was almost as if my eyes themselves were black, quite disconcerted. I walked through the house at a slow pace, taking my time. I noticed that my father's black suit and tie were missing. That shouldn't be anything disturbing to me. But for some reason, I couldn't shake the bad feeling that something was coming from deep within my gut. As I walked down the stairs, I looked out the window and noticed that my dad's black Cadillac Convert was missing from the driveway. So was my mother's Chrysler 300. I was pissed that they just left me alone like this. Whatever, it was only 3 miles to my aunt's house. I put on my jacket and I walked out the door quickly, being careful not to scare my dog any more than she already was. It was a cold day, which was to be expected in late December day in Capitol Hill, Boston, Massachusetts. There was a mass of people congregated around the junction and around 3 blocks away from my house. I couldn't make out any details, but I could see the outline of a black car. It had hit the side of a 2-family house. The front half of the car was inside the damn living room. I had a natural aversion to things like this, so, despite being worried about the driver and the potential passengers, I kept moving. Nothing else seemed out of the ordinary on my walk. Just your typical Bostonary good morning, which was a bump on the shoulder, or any established cussing. I arrived at my aunt's house about 2 hours before setting off. Yes, I took my sweet time. Looking out in the window, I could see several family members, nuclear family included, huddled around the table. I was mad as hell, but then I took a hard look at everybody inside. All of them had somber looks on their faces. For such a joyous holiday. Each person also had a black suit and dress on. Then my anger faded, and I quickly walked through the doors, as opposed to bursting through it, which was what I wanted to do at first. As soon as my foot crossed the threshold, a bright light enveloped me, and I felt like I was drowning in light, and then everything went to dark. When I came to, I walked out of my room, and there was still nothing under the tree. Both cars were still gone, and I was more confused than when I woke up this morning. There was no way my parents would have brought me back home and left me to go to my aunt's house. I decided to go back. Once again, I put on my jacket and left the house. I remembered that about 3 blocks away there was an accident, and I figured I wouldn't be a pussy this time and check it out. The crowd was gone, and there was only 2 squad cars, one on the corner and the other right next to the crushed car. I walked right up to the car and was disturbed by the fact that the cop, eating a donut and reading Boston Globe, did not take notice of my present, despite the fact I'd walked right up to them. I dreaded looking inside the car, and I hesitated for a few minutes. I wasn't going to let myself walk away, even though I felt like I was going to throw up. I bent over and was horrified to see a bloody pulp of a man that looked just like me, pinned to a seat by a dashboard. Blood continued to roll down his forehead, and his hands clutched the steering wheel, white-knuckled, and a look of horror still spread across his face. Rigor mortis is not a beautiful thing. In the distance, I saw an ambulance cruising towards the car with lights flashing and speakers occasionally calling out a beep or two. In a state of disbelief, I rushed to the back of the car, only to be greeted with the Cadillac incinerator. I rushed to the squad car and started yelling at the cop, hoping to get a response. None came. I ran to the nearby driveway and picked up a pebble and started throwing him at the cop. He suddenly sat up alert. He turned his head in my direction. With a quizzical look on his face, he turned his head away, as if he didn't see me, and went back to his donut and his morning paper. I ran as fast as I could, but I only got a few feet before when I tripped on something. I hit the ground, and lay there as a bright white light, exactly like the one before, came over me. Again. It came back to me in a flash, pulling out of the driveway, running through the red light, worried that I would be late, getting T-boned by the damn Kia, shielding my face with my hands from the shattered glass, trying desperately to gain control of the car again, going through the wall of the two family, being pinned to my seat by the dashboard, and finally choking on my own blood as it welled up in my lungs. When I woke up this afternoon, I found the house to be empty. It was strange. I seriously doubted my family would let me sleep while they went to my aunt's house on Christmas Day. Something wasn't right. All the miraculously placed pictures of me were off the walls, and the hearth were gone. All the other photographs were still in place, though. Another thought struck me as odd, was the fact that there was no gifts, just like last night. Just like last night, were miraculously placed under the tree this morning. There were no gifts that, just like last night, were miraculously placed under the tree this morning. I don't know. So that was No Gifts this year, and that was by Mr.Zelgopasta. Hope you guys liked it. Sorry I wasn't better at reading and everything, and sorry I paused so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great holiday season. Hope you have a Merry Christmas. And thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, stay infectious and stay safe and stay happy this Christmas season. Merry Christmas to all of you, and I hope to see you guys again in the next one. Thank you guys so much, and as always, stay infectious.